Thanks for joining me on Life and Surround. Today, I would like to discuss the third Quadio bundle from Rhino Records. They started a fresh Quadio series sometime last year. They started with a bundle of 4 albums. Then they dropped a second bundle of 4 albums. We now have the third bundle of 4 albums. It's available on Rhino's site. I will link that below. You can still get the first bundle, the second, and now the third, or you can get any of that makes what, 12 available albums. You can also buy them individually. Now, when you buy a bundle, the cost is around $80. When you buy the individual albums, they're around $25. Now, what you get on the Blu-ray in question is a DTS HD Master stereo version of the album, and then you also get a DTS HD Master quadraphonic version of the album. So no extra videos, no interviews, no bells and whistles like that, but you do get stereo and quad in a lossless PCM-based format that you can own. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 4 albums contained in bundle number 3, shall we? We have 1972 War, The World is a Ghetto. This, from what I understand, is a fairly highly sought after, quadraphonic recording in terms of, the analog options that have been available until now. And so this probably has made quite a few of my quad buddies happy. Then we have 1973, Gil Evans, Svengali. To my way of classifying things, this is kind of like instrumental jazz, and I can tell you that I like it. And then jumping ahead to 1974, so we're experiencing a 50th anniversary now. We have Average White Band, AWB. I have this in stereo LP format and also quadradisc format. Quadradisc, that's CD4. So thank you, Steve Woolard from Rhino Records, for making this obsolete. So I'll be selling or giving away my sealed copy sometime soon. Because if I have a Blu-ray, I'm just not gonna mess with analog. If analog is my only choice, I'm quite happy with it. But I just love the convenience and the pristine sound of Blu-ray. All right. And then also in 1974, and rounding out this third bundle, we have Randy Newman, Good Old Boys, and that is another CD4 of mine that's now been made obsolete, and I will happily pass this along one way or the other, free up some storage room. So I've already talked a bit about the Quadio program, but let's just go over it a little bit more. So Rhino have been releasing bundles of 4 albums. They seem to be doing so quarterly. We're on the third bundle. So this is the first one of 2024, and we can possibly expect 3 more this year. So a total of 16 quadraphonic albums per year from Rhino in this new Quadio campaign. Could be what we can expect, and I would just be thrilled with that. I really like the first 12 offerings, including these 3. So, the first 3 bundles have been, to me, a nice variety of, rock and pop and some easy listening and just, some random stuff like Charles Mingus album. So like some really cool stuff. And then the 4 albums that we have on offer here are really no exception. I feel the same way. Like I've always loved some Randy Newman, Mr. Toy Story himself. For me, but then for many of you, you have like, much more involved references to Randy Newman. I've heard his Little Criminals album because it was put out as a 5.1 DVD audio a long time ago. But I know some of his stuff, but not as much as others. And so this gives me a chance to check out one of his records that I had never heard and to really enjoy it and to see a side of him that I really wasn't aware of. Really some cutting social commentary. There's just some stuff on this record that he was pretty pissed off about. And just some amazing engineering. I'll go more into like the production of each of these four records in just a minute. War, The World is a Ghetto. This was a number one album in 1972 on the US national chart, but also on the US R&B chart, I believe. So we have a number one record. And, by the time I became, someone building my musical identity, like in the mid 80s, this record just wasn't placed before me. It wasn't suggested. And has really been my first exposure. I'm sure that I have heard a couple of these tunes before, but not in a way that like they really had a chance to penetrate my psyche and to do anything. And now I've been able to hear this record. What a cool record. And a lot of these themes are just every bit as true these days. Oh, hey, I want to make a point. So when you get these Blu-rays, they come in a like a super jewel case, and I find that to be rather nice. They come with the a replica of the original LP label on the Blu-ray, printed on the Blu-ray. And then in the booklet, you get what I feel is a pretty faithful representation of color, though I'm not the hugest stickler for that, but they look good. You get this cool diagram and description of how quadraphonic works. This is just like an insert that came in a lot of classic, quad releases. So it's just really cool to see it. If you have a quadraphonic system running, you are not going to read anything in there that you don't already know, but it's just kind of cool that it's included. It pays homage to this really cool, very, very, very niche and quirky hobby. The master tapes. Yes, I always love images of the master tapes. And as far as I know, each of these booklets has pictures of the master tapes. So this is Randy Newman's Good Old Boys. And, sometimes the pictures of the master tapes are cool because looking through the credits, trying to figure out like who produced and who engineered these things, sometimes you'll see notes on the master tapes that are helpful, like, who signed off. Like, somebody had to sign off that this was like union numbers for the engineers and stuff. Initials when a mix initials when a mix can be considered final, I suppose. Master tapes for AWB, Average White Band. And sometimes you get information about, whether the album was mastered specifically during that session for CD4, just some really cool stuff. So really appreciate what Rhino is doing with this Quadio series. Now, I've gone and dug up some information on each of these four albums. I'd like to dive a little bit deeper when these Quadio bundles come out than I have in the past. So bear with me. I'm going to discuss just some basic information about each of these four albums, and then we'll be on our way. And hopefully you will have these albums soon to enjoy for yourselves. All right, War, like we talked about, 1972 number one album, mixed by Chris Houston, which is a name that I haven't come across before, but I'm trying to pay more attention to these quadraphonic producers and engineers. I talk a lot about modern mixing engineers that I like, but I want to kind of like begin to give some homage to these masters of the 70s, these original classic quadraphonic engineers and producers and artists. So Chris Houston, I looked up his body of work and found that he is associated with some stuff that I really, really like. And we could be seeing his name again. So kudos to him. This was, in my opinion, among the top two mixes of this Rhino batch number 3. This is a very, very, very cool mix, and it breathes a lot of energy and life and action into this album. And I think that is, it suits this material very, very well. So recorded at Crystal Industries near Hollywood, California, produced by Jerry Goldstein, who also has worked with Strangelove, the McCoys, and Sly Stone, as well as quite a bit with War. So all stuff that I really like, and all stuff, we may see his name again from time to time as we discuss quadraphonic. So War, The World is a Ghetto. Very, very cool. Maybe, in my opinion, like the coolest album to me from this set. Gil Evans, Svengali, 1973. Apparently, this was recorded at Trinity Church in New York and was produced by Gil Evans along with a man named Kenneth Noland. And I can't find much information about him or credits for a whole lot of other production. So I think maybe Gil Evans just needed special help with this recording. And perhaps Kenneth Noland was at the right place at the right time, able to give that help. I don't have a lot more information on him. Now, this, to my ears, is instrumental jazz. It is extremely well done. It is orchestrated lushly. It does lend itself to quadraphonic. I tend to like material the most that has like vocal content that I can associate with, but this is a cool listen. I do have plenty of instrumental music in my collection, and I think a lot of people are really, really going to dig this. I did not already happen to have a copy in analog, so this is my first exposure to this album in quadraphonic, and I'm glad I've heard it. Mixing by Bobby Werner, Lou Hahn, and Mark Abramson, known as ZZ. I don't know a whole lot about the last gentleman I mentioned. Bobby Werner happens to have been involved in more than one of these discs in this batch. And based on perusing his discography, I imagine his name will be coming up again in this Quadio series. He's involved in a lot of material that I really, really dig, so that portends very well for me. Lou Hahn looks to have an extensive career with hundreds upon hundreds of engineering credits to his name. And he is also going to get mention as we go along with this Quadio series. He'll get mention again. So he's definitely involved in some quad classics. And I'm really excited to be learning more about these classic vintage engineers. And I think it's really cool to just say their names. Like maybe some of you know a lot of information about them. If you have comments about any of the engineers, any of the producers, any of the artists discussed here, please let everyone know. I love learning from all of you. So anyway, Gil Evans, Svengali, very cool. Average White Band, AWB, man, this release definitely made one of my friends super, super happy. I may offer him my sealed copy of the CD4, although I recently sent him at least 3 or 4 other copies. I'm just not sure I sent him a sealed one. Anyway, a favorite record of the person in question. And this is just such a cool album. A lot of people are going to be familiar with the tune Pick Up the Pieces. It's just a ultra classic, very, very well-known, popular melody. And as laid down by this group, this is, in my opinion, probably the best quadraphonic mix of this batch. There at least were some just jaw-dropping standout moments for me, particularly during Pick Up the Pieces when you've got just such super cool separation of parts. You have drums up front, and then you have a guitar over your right shoulder, and then another guitar part over your left shoulder, and they're just completely different parts. They couldn't be any more different, but they totally complement and harmonize with each other. And just to hear them separated out like that, just in your wings. And then like when the guitars disappear, like their positioning is taken over by like keyboards and synthesizers and pianos and man, yeah, just some very, very cool standout mixing moments on this record. We have Bobby Werner also involved in this recording, along with Gene Paul. And I learned today I learned that Gene Paul is the son of Les Paul and Mary Ford. he grew up assisting his dad with Les Paul and Mary Ford recordings, and so he knew what he was doing from a very, very young age. And this record certainly benefits. Like, it sounds wonderful to me. We also have Lujan involved again, and then we have a man named Arif Mardin. Like, somebody please help me out with that name. But I went and looked him up, and he is a very prolific producer. The man earned 11 Grammy Awards, nominated for 18, from what I read. So just extremely successful, and definitely, like, no slouches were involved in bringing this quadraphonic album into existence. And in my opinion, it's a killer mix. We can see from the label that it is an Atlantic Records recording. It was recorded at Atlantic Records. This particular album gives a CD4 mastering credit to a Daryl Johnson. Not all of the album sleeves give CD4 mastering credit. So each of these albums, kind of has like its own information that it was deemed important to bring forward to you. And, that is a decision made on the original sleeve. And then Rhino does their best to bring the same information into this updated artwork. And then finally, for this batch, we have Randy Newman's Good Old Boys. This was recorded at Warner Brothers Studios, Hollywood, California, mixing by Lee Hirschberg. I haven't read or heard his name before. A new engineer to me, and in my opinion, this is quite the solid quadraphonic mix. Feels well balanced and draws me into the music, feels appropriate to the material. And so Lee Hirschberg is a name I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for. Produced by Lenny Waronker, who at one time was president of Warner Brothers, and also by Russ Titleman, who, of all of the acts I saw him associated with, the one that jumped out to me is the Monkees. I love the Monkees records. So anyway, we have Randy Newman bringing some social commentary, some biting social commentary here, and as well as, just his extremely unique, sometimes whimsical, but always just very creative, very unique arrangement and compositional style and vocal stylings. So cool record. And I hadn't had a chance to get around to my CD4 copy yet, so this was my first exposure to the album in quadraphonic. So listen, in my opinion, very cool batch number 3 from Rhino. Want to just give a shout out to Steve Woolard. He's the producer of these Blu-rays. If you like quad, if you're excited about this series, if you're glad that some classic quad is getting put out on a modern format like Blu-ray, in your heart of hearts, you owe Steve some thanks, okay? So I just wanted to make sure that that I'm expressing thanks for what he's doing. And then each of the Blu-rays in this bundle credit a Craig Anderson with mastering and Blu-ray authoring. So just want to give some acknowledgement there, give some thanks to the team at Rhino for putting out these Quadio Blu-rays for all of us. As I said a little bit earlier, shipping can take a while. I think this is probably a small company just trying to do the best they can. So please be patient. I know that I have like a huge stack of stuff that I need to listen to that I haven't been able to yet. So I just wish everyone happiness and patience and just understanding, and just to enjoy music as often as possible. If you like what I do, don't forget to give a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the notification bell. I often do news videos that can help you jump on important pre-orders and just be aware of deals that might be available. And subscriptions really help this channel get the love of multi-channel music out to more people. It is greatly appreciated. Leave your comments if I've discussed any of your favorite engineers, or if you have any like other tidbits about anybody discussed, if you have additional knowledge about any albums discussed, if I made a mistake, offer a correction. You know, just discuss what you'd like to see in the future on this channel. Just any comments are welcome, and I appreciate interacting with all of you. I look forward to doing so more and more as this year rolls along. We have 4 quadraphonic albums to enjoy right now, And like I said, I'm going to be doing a looking forward in 2024 video pretty soon, along with a lot of other planned content. So stay tuned, subscribe, ring the notification bell, like videos, go back and look at older ones. If you're new to the channel, I really appreciate all the support. And until next time, live life in surround.